So this green behemoth was the star of my last video, and 3 seconds in and I've already forgotten to switch the ignition off like I do every time, because unless you're in neutral like this, there are no lights on the dash to tell you that it's on. So I usually just get off, walk away and leave the light on. That's pretty much the only thing that's drawing power, but still frustrating. Just old bike problems, I guess. But anyway, today we're back with the green behemoth to do a one take. A one take means I'm not going to do any cuts, any editing, which is basically my worst nightmare as somebody that loves editing and can't talk to save their life without a script. But nevertheless, I thought we had to do one on the KLR before we sell it. Because before we get started, we do have to clear a few things up, because I do think the last video confused a few people. So number one is, yes, I do own this KLR, I did buy it, but I'm not going to keep it. Not because there's anything wrong with it, just because that was always the intention. I only bought it to make that one video that I wanted to do. That was my idea, and I needed a KLR for it. So let's go for a ride. We're starting on the cusp of road and off-road to suit the KLR. We've got a mixed course today. We'll go down there, do some off-roading, jump back on the road, and who knows where we'll end up. We got a 360 camera so that when you get bored of seeing what I see, you'll have something different. And yeah, we had to elevate the GoPro slightly today because the windscreen's so tall that all my GoPro shots basically looked awful. So please excuse me if I screw up my words and say rude things. I can't cut. But look at this box. How good is this box? We've got my camera bag in it. We don't have a tripod today because we're not doing any tripod shots, but my tripod is literally the exact width of this. It couldn't have worked out any better. And I do really enjoy having somewhere to put my camera bag. And it's also a workspace. You know, you can put your camera here, build it up how you want to, and tuck it back in. Super convenient. And I think the style of this knockoff Pelican case suits the KLR way better than a real box. Especially the sort of cheap and nasty plastic ones. This one's pretty cool. You could pick the bike up by it, I'm pretty sure. Okay, probably not, but we can try anyway. What else shall we show you before we head off? There were other things. Obviously, we got our nice John Deere sticker, looking very good. We've got a lot of dirt because I haven't washed it since filming, but that is the plan after this video. We've got wavy discs because it's high performance, obviously. We got one radiator, that amuses me. We literally have one radiator on one side because that's pretty much all this engine needs to cool itself. It's got quite a few fins that help, but it looks cool, very asymmetric. The radiators, not the rest of the thing. It's very ugly. I haven't given the chain any love. That needs some love. I don't even think it has O-rings. Yep. That's how basic this is. It's got a foot on the stand that's bigger than mine. It's got a helmet lock here. I've never had a bike with that. Strange thing. Let's go. Turn the ignition on. You can hear it boot up. No, you can't. It doesn't have fuel injectors. But you can hear it go chugga chugga chugga, and then it'll start. See? So I did call it pristine in my video, which some people were offended by, which I see why. It's got a torn bar pad. Obviously some imbecile attacked the windscreen with an angle grinder, some rusty bolts, a few scratches. But the main point was, it's pristine for a KLR. Okay, we gotta go this way before we get beaten by the mountain bikers. They're gonna be so jealous of my KLR. Boy, they're not very friendly, are they? As a mountain biker, I take offense. I thought I would have greeted the KLR rider for sure. So we're gonna jump right into it. This is the entrance to a reserve. This is where I go mountain biking, but this is where we're going KLRing. This is somewhere where I used to ride my dirt bike all the time. And we'll stop here because I want to show you this. Look how big this sort of ridge is, this ditch. This used to be narrow enough that I used to just wheelie my front wheel over it and the back would follow. That's how narrow it was. It was fairly deep, but over the summer with all the rain, it's eroded like this, and now it's massive. You could literally get your KLR stuck in there, and that's saying something. I did, however, put a camera down there for the main video. Oh, I almost dropped it. I put my camera down there and rode up here. I made a pretty cool shot. Okay. I mean, I needed momentum to keep going, but let's go over the rock garden. Whoa. And obviously this is hectic terrain. You probably won't be able to tell that from a GoPro. We'll get some wheel spin action. Power! Oh, even some dust. That's how you know it's a manly bike. And there's a boulder over there. That's a nice boulder. And then we're grabbing all the blackjacks as we ride past, which will cling to my clothes forevermore and make my girlfriend angry. Okay, so let's talk about why I bought this bike. Basically, coming up with ideas to make YouTube videos about, at least ideas that are worth making, ones that'll actually get views, that's very difficult. And that's probably the thing I struggle with most. Don't get too offended. We're not going to stay on the path for too long. We're going to go off-roading once again. And no one's on it. I can see till I want to get off. So don't get mad at me. So coming up with ideas is hard. Especially ones that are worthwhile. It's easy to come up with a stupid idea, but nobody's going to watch that video. So as a result, I often miss weeks because I'm like, I'd rather have no video than upload a silly video. Power! And they've taken all the hay bales out of my field where I got good photos of the KLR. That's disappointing. At least we got it in time. So basically, I've always wanted to make videos about specific bikes because every bike has a story. And specifically the KLR is a bike that I personally hate. I mean, they're just so boring. They got a boring engine that hardly revs. I mean, it revs to 7,500. They've crammed their 650 cc's into this one piston. I mean, you could not be more boring if you tried. Think of all the different engine configurations you can have, and they went with a single. I get that there's some need for it, and I'm glad someone makes one, I guess, but that's the whole point. There was a story behind this bike that I wanted to talk about. So I figured that I should buy one, make a video, and hopefully I could sell it for the same price that I bought it. See, I'm not sure if I can go this way, because sometimes they get really mad at you. But if we just sneak past gently, hopefully they won't be too mad. And then we'll be back on the road in no time. There we go. I think we got away with it. We won't roost them so they don't get mad. Now we got to keep an eye out for dump trucks because they work in here. Who knows what they're doing. So I kept a lookout for a KLR in my budget, which this one cost me $2,800, which will obviously be different in every single country, but at least you know how to convert $2,800 into whatever your local currency is, and that's why I use dollars. So I did find a cheaper one that I went to look at, and basically it was in such bad shape I didn't even think I'd be able to ride it home. I thought I'd be too scared to do that. So I kept looking, spent a bit more money to get this one, but this one is in great shape. I mean, it does have a few nicks on it. It's a KLR, that's what happens. It's a 9-year-old bike. It's getting a bit old, long in the tooth, but overall, it's, especially mechanically, it's very sound. I'm happy to ride this as far as you like, in terms of reliability, not in terms of fun or performance. And so I understand that the video was probably confusing. I mean, I said I bought a bike and everyone was like, why on earth would you buy a KLR? But if you watch till the end of the video, you'll know that I said I'm not going to keep it. So that's why we're going to do a one take, and then this bike is going to be back up on the chopping block. It's going to be up for sale because I don't really like it. I honestly thought I might enjoy it, but I don't. And to be honest, we might run out of fuel before the end of this video because it has all these lovely analog gauges, none of which are for fuel. It doesn't even have a fuel light, but it does, however, have a petcock with a fuel reserve on it, which I've never had a bike that has a fuel reserve. So I'm probably just going to run out of fuel instead of remembering to change that over. But that's the problem when you weren't born in '87 like the KLR. So yeah, I'm not the only one that drives on the pavement. He's patrolling the train. He's not too bad, don't worry. And it's not very fuel efficient. I'm pretty sure it does need the carb to be fiddled with, but I couldn't be bothered to really because that's not my speciality. So as a result, I usually start it and let it warm up because it takes quite a while to warm up, and you can just smell it. It smells very rich. It does pop sometimes. It's a bit of a flame spitter, you know, it's high performance. But other than that, it's a pretty good bike. You can actually see stuff out of the mirrors, which I didn't expect with tiny round mirrors. And on any other bike I'd be upset that it has bent handlebars, but on a KLR I feel like, does it really matter? It's not hampering the performance. You're not looking for like extra precise movements, are you? On a superbike, maybe you want to put it on the apex. Obviously I can't, but a good rider could. But you bend the bars on this and it's not going to change my day, unfortunately. I do like that it's green, especially for my first Kawasaki. And it's a great bike to learn on. It's so soft. And I think that's the one thing that modern bikes are missing. Like, even if you buy a KTM 390 Duke, for example, like a great beginner bike, it comes with ABS. And I think half of how you learn on a motorbike is not having things like that. So that, I mean, every kid gets onto their bike, whether it's a dirt bike or a road bike, they go as fast as possible and they just stamp on the rear brake and the back wheel locks up. And it might be silly, your dad will sit there sort of cringing because now he has to pay for your new back tire, but that's how you learn. You learn what the bike does, you learn how it responds. And this is tall, it has a lot of weight, it also teaches you a lot. So obviously ABS is the safety thing, and you probably do want your kids to have it if they're learning to ride a motorcycle on the street. But as far as learning to control a bike, I don't think that's what happened. Look, we found a Yaris that matches it. Oh, it's a Corolla, my bad. It's a GR Corolla. What a man. He doesn't want a photo with me. It's disappointing. It's pretty cool. I mean, I really don't want one, but I'm glad he wrapped it in Kawasaki green. And just like that, we're back in captivity. Not where the KLR likes to be. It likes to be on the open dirt road, you know. We didn't run out of fuel even. A lot of people ask me about this phone mount. This is the SP Connect phone mount. And before you rush out and buy one, which you probably should, they're really good, but you should know that I got sent it for free. But if you had to choose a phone mount, I'm even going to remember the ignition this time. Wow, I'm getting so good. If you had to buy a phone mount, personally I think it's between the SP Connect and the Quad Lock. They're very similar, but they're great. So we're going to do the terrible thing and look at my notes, because I'm sure I've forgotten something, except I'm never going to actually find them. I think we kind of spoke about everything that I wanted to. I'm sure there's way more that I've missed. But anyway, that's it. That's the KLR. Unfortunately, by the time, well, hopefully by the time you've watched this video, it will be sold. But I think I have a pretty good reason to buy this, and that's kind of fun. Not many people have a reason to buy a bike that they dislike, and I do. So basically I hope that I can now sell this bike for at least close to what I bought it for, and then basically it doesn't really matter. I haven't lost any money. My intention isn't to make money from buying and selling the bike. My intention is just to make a video with it. That's ultimately how I make money. And the video I made with this was something very different. It's the longest video I've ever made. It took me 3 weeks to make. It's the longest time I've ever spent making a video, the most effort I've ever put in, and probably the video I've enjoyed making the most. I mean, it was a lot of fun putting effort into something really strange. And I always say, or since I bought this, I say, which Top Gear episode do you remember the most? The one where they drove Italian supercars through Italy, or the one where they drove boxes through Botswana? And basically, this is the box you'd want to take through Botswana, and this is the most memorable bike. I mean, a GS is a brilliant bike, but chances are you're going to be at the petrol station more often on this and bump into more people that want to talk bikes with you. But anyway, hit the like button if you enjoyed this video. Let me know what bike we should buy next once we've sold this to make another video like that. Please go watch that video if you haven't. I put a lot of effort into it, and I'll see you on the next ride.